Welcome to readings from Bishop Barron's reflection on the Stations of the Cross. Today we're going to do the first station of the cross. Jesus is condemned to death. We adore you, O Christ, and we bless you, because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world. A reflection by Bishop Robert Barron. When Israel dreamed of a new David, it dreamed of a king who would unite the nation, cleanse the temples, defeat Israel's enemies, and then reign over the whole world. It's only against this gloomy backdrop that we can appreciate what Jesus was doing and how he was perceived. The first words out of his mouth and the central theme of his preaching concerned the kingdom of God. He announced a new reign centered on himself. These were taken quite rightly as fighting words, for if a new kingdom is to come, the old kingdom has to give way. And if a new king has arrived, the old kings have to cede. Jesus endeavored to unite the nations, to bring the tribes together. This was the point of his open table fellowship, his reaching out to sinners and tax collectors, his inclusion of the sick and the marginalized. In David's city, he cleansed the temple and promised that he would establish a new temple. And throughout his life and ministry, Jesus opposed the old kings. We see it from the very beginning in the infancy narratives themselves. Jesus is presented as an alternative to Quirinius and Augustus, and his arrival, even as a baby, is enough to frighten Herod and all Jerusalem. This confrontation between old and new orders comes to its highest expression as Jesus stands before Pontius Pilate, the local representative of Caesar. Pilate, undoubtedly sure of his power and authority, sizes up his criminal. "Are you the king of the Jews?" Pilate meant this in a purely political and worldly way. "Are you trying to seize political control of this part of the Roman Empire?" But the scene is packed with irony, for any Jew would have known that the full import of Pilate's question was that he was really asking, "Are you the king of the world? Are you the new David destined to reign over all the nations?" Jesus tells him straightforwardly enough, "My kingdom does not belong to this world." This does not mean that Jesus is unconcerned for the realities of politics with this very worldly concerns of justice, peace, and right order. It means that the reign he has been announcing is not a new political order based, like others, on threats and violence. This is why he immediately clarifies that his attendants are not fighting to keep me from being handed over. It is the reign of God that he announces, God's nonviolent and compassionate ordering of all things. Unimpressed, Pilate asks, "What is truth?" And then he condemns Jesus to death. He plays the typical worldly game of power politics, and by all appearances he wins, as ruthless and violent people seem to do. But through the cross and resurrection, Jesus defeated him. He outmaneuvered the violence of sin and swallowed it up in the divine forgiveness. He defeated the enemies of Israel, and he thereby established his own body as the new temple, which is why blood and water flowed out from it. He gathered all people to himself as the Davidic king was expected to do. When the Son of Man is raised up, he will draw all people to himself. He was, in short, the new king, the one to whom final allegiance is due.